Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video feels a little bit strange because I'm filming on my iPhone today. I did film this video last week, and then when I went to edit it, the footage was like really grainy and like grey looking, and I'm not entirely sure what I did, but yeah, I think I must have messed up the camera setting or something, and I don't know how to get it to work again. So I thought I'd give it a go on my iPhone, and to be fair, this probably looks like better quality anyway, like than the camera when it's at its best. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. So today's video is going to be a haul video. I think I did one a couple of months ago and I've acquired quite a few books since then, but I also have quite a lot of library books that I thought I would show you as well, because I seem to have like only just remembered that libraries exist, so that is really exciting. My library uses two apps and they have like audiobooks and ebooks on there, so I've really been into reading at the minute and like listening to audiobooks when I've been like driving to work, just like doing things around the house. So yeah, I thought I would just share some books. Let me know if you have any of these books, if you've read any of them already, or if they're on your TBR or anything like that. And yeah, let's just get right into the books. So first off, I thought I would start by showing you the library books that I've picked up, and I'm actually really excited about a lot of these books because some of them are quite new. So the first one at the top of my pile is The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This is like really new, so I was surprised to see this in there. I'm only the second person to take this book out. I wasn't really interested in this book when I first heard about it, but it sounds actually quite fun. So it's set in this really quiet little town in England, and I think it's about these four elderly friends who meet up every Thursday and they talk about unsolved cases, and they try and like work out what could have happened. And then a real murder happens in the town. And I think that just sounds like so much fun. I'm really excited to read from an older person's perspective because I don't think I've read many, if any, books that are told from the perspective of somebody older. And these characters are like 80 years old. It also says on the back that it's really funny and it's very British. So I feel like this is going to be a really exciting, fun read. Next up, I have started reading this. This is Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. I have previously read two of Marlon James's books, the first one being The Book of Night Women, which I absolutely adored, and then the next one was A Brief History of Seven Killings, which I didn't like as much, but I still enjoyed it. So I thought I would give this one a go. It's a fantasy book that is based very heavily on African mythology. It's very like whimsical, magical. It feels like quite an intense fantasy, which is not something that I'm used to, and it is taking me quite a while to get through, to be honest. So the main character in this book is called Tracker, and he has a really good sense of smell, and he's sort of like a mercenary character who takes money off people who want to find like their missing husbands or something like that. And we are following him just on his like epic journey, I guess. So I'm roughly 200 pages in and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of what this book is going to be. So yeah, I will let you know in probably like my August wrap up what my final thoughts are about this book, but it's definitely very interesting so far. Next up, I'm so excited about this. I have started reading this as well. The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. Again, I was surprised to see this in the library. Again, I'm the second person to take this book out. So last year I read and really enjoyed The Silent Patient. I knew that I wanted to read this as soon as I could get my hands on it. I just didn't really expect it to be this soon, to be honest. So this book is about a woman called Mariana who's a therapist, and she gets a call from her niece who is studying at Cambridge University, and she's saying that her best friend has just been found murdered. I've just got to the point where Mariana is going to travel up to Cambridge to, I don't know, help her niece deal with this tragic event. She starts suspecting that one of the professors is involved with this murder because he's got this really like strange cult-like group of students that idolise him. And I think it's meant to be very dark academia. I've heard that it's similar to The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Not that I've read that, but that is sort of like the pinnacle of dark academia that I can think of. Yeah, I only started reading this last night when I was going to sleep, so I'm probably only about 30 pages into it, but I'm really excited to carry on with this book. Next up, I have actually finished this one, but I listened to it on audiobook. I listened to basically the whole thing over 2 days while I was just like cleaning the house. And it is My Sister the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite. So this book is about a Nigerian family. Our main character is called Korede, and her sister Ayula is a serial killer. She ends up killing all of her boyfriends. She says it's always in self-defense, but Korede is a little bit unsure as to how this keeps happening. So while she's helping her sister clean up all these murders that she's committing, Korede also works at the hospital, and she's got a crush on this guy who's like a doctor there. One day Ayula turns up to the hospital, and the doctor and Ayula hit it off straight away, and yeah, they start dating. So then Korede starts to worry that her sister is going to kill the guy that she has a crush on. So I will talk more about my thoughts on this book in my July wrap-up video, which should be coming soon. The next book I got from the library, which I have also read, is The Push by Ashley O'Drain. So this book is about a woman called Blythe. She is married to this guy called Fox, and they decide to have a baby. When their baby daughter Violet is born, there seems to be something not quite right about Violet. Blythe can't bond with her as she expected to, and she doesn't feel the same like euphoria, love feeling that she should have for her child. But we are sort of exploring whether it is a fault of Blythe's, whether her experiences with her mother and her mother's experiences with her mother have sort of passed down this intergenerational trauma and just affected the way that they treat their children. It also touches on the possibility of postnatal depression. So this book is very intense, and it delves really deep into every sort of fear that you could have about being a mother. So yeah, again, I will talk about this more in my wrap-up video. Next book that I got from the library, which I have also finished, is The Patient by Jasper Jewett. And this one, I was going to read this for Summerween, but I unfortunately didn't have all the time that I wanted. This book is about a guy called Parker who is a psychiatrist, and he's like fresh out of uni. He thinks he can solve any problem. He goes to this psychiatric hospital, and there's a patient there who's been there since he was 6 years old, and this guy has never had a proper diagnosis, but everyone that he meets either commits suicide or goes mad, basically. Parker decides that he wants to be the one to figure out what's wrong with this guy and to treat him. This is a horror book, and it's told in blog posts by Parker after he's already left this hospital, and he's like recounting his story from when he was there. It's a really short book. I think I was also listening to the audiobook because I got it from my library. Again, I'm going to talk about it more in my wrap-up video. Sorry. I promise I haven't read any more of these books. No, I actually haven't. So that was the last one that I actually read. So yeah, I will talk about the last couple of books that I mentioned in my next video. Next book I got from the library is The Promise by Katarina Diamond, and this is the 4th book in her series where she talks about Imogen Gray and Adrian Miles as like the detective duo. I really love these books. They are very similar to Karen Slaughter. They're very dark and gory, intense, and I've loved every book so far. So yeah, I was very excited to see this in the library. I can't wait to dip back into this world because it's probably one of my favourite detective crime book series of all time. So yeah, I would highly recommend these books. The first book is called The Teacher, and I remember that was seriously gory. So yeah, if you're a fan of the very dark side of crime thrillers, then this series is the one for you. And the last book I got from the library is The Nothing Man by Catherine Ryan Howard. I've had this on my TBR for a little while now. I think I heard Gabby Reeds talk about it. This is about a girl who escaped a serial killer a couple of decades ago, but I think her family were killed, but I think she survived. And this woman is now writing a book, like a true crime book, trying to uncover who the killer was, because they've never found him. Meanwhile, this guy who works as a security guard starts reading this book, and he's like, oh damn, I need to stop this girl because I am the serial killer and she's actually really close to finding me. So it seems like it's going to be a really fun cat and mouse thriller type thing. I'm excited to read a book about a killer who we sort of already know about from the start. A lot of the times you're trying to guess who the killer is and you don't find out till the very end. So yeah, this one seems like it'll be really interesting. onto the books that I've actually bought. So I'm going to start with the one that I'm most excited about, and that is 3 Hours by Rosamund Lupton. I'm actually so excited to read this. This sounds like the perfect book for me. It is about a school shooting in England, which is very rare, and it's set during these 3 hours of the school shooting. So just from flipping through, it seems like each chapter is just a time. Whether we flick between like the killer, the students, the teachers, I'm not entirely sure, but it's meant to be super tense and really suspenseful, really exciting, but also like keeps you on the edge of your seat. Like you won't be able to put this book down. So I'm really excited to get to this, but I'm predicting it's going to be like 5 stars, so I think I'm putting it off because I'm scared that it won't be 5 stars. So I got this one from an independent bookshop in my town, so I did pay full price for it, but it is going to an independent bookstore, so I'm really happy I found that. So one of the other books I got at this same independent bookshop is Small Pleasures by Claire Chambers, and this book is so beautiful. I mentioned it in my mid-year freakout tag because it is just a beautiful cover. So this book is set in the 50s, and we're following Jean, who is a journalist for a local newspaper, when this woman contacts the paper to claim that her daughter is a result of a virgin birth. Jean then has to go and see whether this girl is a miracle or if she's a fraud. And it just says, the investigation turns her quiet life inside out. Really excited to get to this, and oh my gosh, it's gonna look so pretty on my shelf. Okay, the next books I got from Waterstones. I don't really like buying from big chain bookstores, but I went to Liverpool, had a bit of a wild time in Waterstones. I got very excited by the buy one get one half price section, and I ended up picking up 6 books. No, I got 5, Mac got 1. The top one that I've just picked up is Written in Blood by Chris Carter. This one is a strange pick because I think it is like number 9, 10, 11 in a long-running crime series. So I first saw this book because it was featured on somebody's YouTube channel and they were talking about it for an ad, which is kind of weird. I feel like it's not often that YouTubers will talk about a single book as an ad. And this person wasn't even a booktuber, so yeah, it was kind of strange, but all the reviews were so good. There's so many 5-star reviews about this book. So it's about this woman called Angela who steals somebody's bag, and in that bag is a journal. When she looks at the journal, it's full of details of all these murders, and Angela realizes that she's stolen a serial killer's bag. And this serial killer, who was previously completely unknown, he's like totally under the radar, he's obviously panicking because his murder journal is now in the hands of the police because she's handed it in, obviously quite worried about the situation. And I think our detective, Robert Hunter, I assume, takes up the case and starts trying to find who this serial killer is. So yeah, I got this one, and there's been a few times where I've like gone through my TBR and I've been like, should I just take this off because it's really late in the series? But the reviews are so damn good, and it says you don't really have to have read the other books to enjoy this one, so yeah, I'm gonna give it a go. The next book that I got from Waterstones is Such a Fun Age by Riley Reid, and this kind of did the rounds last year, I think, on BookTube. I saw a lot of people talking about it. It's about this woman called Amira, and I think she's like a nanny for this white child. So she gets accused of kidnapping this child in a supermarket, and her boss resolves to make things right. And then I think it leads into this conversation about race and about privilege and about performative activism. All topics that I think are going to be really interesting and I would love to learn more about. So yeah, this is another like literary fiction, I think, longlisted for the Booker Prize. It says it's very fun as well, so I'm interested to see how all of those things are going to combine. But yeah, I hope that I learn a lot from this book because yeah, it sounds very, very interesting. Next one is Leave the World Behind by Ruman Alam. This book sounds very interesting. It seems to be like a quiet dystopia, like a subtle dystopia. I've only ever used those words to describe Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro, and the back of this book actually compares this to Never Let Me Go. So I'm imagining this to be like a literary fiction that features a bit of like dystopia, maybe like post-apocalyptic, but that is not the central focus of the book. and it's not like totally plot driven or full of action. I think it's going to be more about the characters. So I really enjoyed that in Never Let Me Go, so I hope I enjoy it in this book. So we're following Amanda and Claire, who are enjoying a taste of the good life, when Ruth and GH, an older couple who claim to own the remote holiday home they are staying in, arrive seeking shelter. They say there's been a power outage, there's no phone service, the internet is down, and nobody knows what is happening. So this sounds like it could be kind of creepy. Either way, I'm interested. It's a page turner taking in themes of isolation, race, and class. Will keep you awake even after it ends. So resonant and terrifying. It sounds like a really weird mix of things. I think a lot of the reviews of this book have been pretty mediocre, so I think I'm going to keep my expectations quite low, and yeah, just keep in the back of my mind that this is not super like plot driven and to expect more about the characters. So yeah, very excited to get to this one too, and it is only fairly short, and I do like the cover, it's very pretty. So the next book is The Devil and the Dark Water by Stuart Turton. I read 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle last year, and I really loved that book. I loved the feeling of not being able to escape, of all the action happening in this one place with all the same characters. It was very closed off from the rest of society. It felt very Agatha Christie, very clever writing. It just felt like an epic mystery. It was quite long, there was a lot of characters to follow, there was a lot going on. And I feel like this book is probably going to be somewhat similar. It is set during 1634 and it's on a ship. So we've got the world's greatest detective on this ship, imprisoned. He's being transported to Amsterdam to be tried for a crime he may or may not have committed. However, strange symbols appear on the sails, livestock are slaughtered, ominous whispers travel throughout the crowded decks, and then comes the first murder. So our detective is imprisoned in the depths of the ship, so his loyal bodyguard is going to try and solve this mystery before the ship descends into anarchy. This sounds like a lot of fun. I feel like it is going to be kind of similar to The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle because of it being so closed off from society. The explanation has to be on this ship. Sounds really interesting. Seems like it's quite a long book though. It's like 560 pages, so this might be quite a struggle. But yeah, if I like it half as much as I did Evelyn Hardcastle, then it will definitely have been worth the read. So I've got 3 books left. The last one I got from Waterstones is Earthlings by Sayaka Murata, and I've heard a lot of good things about this author. She also wrote Convenience Store Woman, which I haven't read, but I've heard a lot of good reviews about that book. So this book is about a girl called Natsuki who believed she was an alien as a child, a different species to her earthling family and classmates. Now she lives quietly in an asexual marriage, pretending to be normal, but the buried horrors of Natsuki's past are pursuing her. As she flees the suburbs for the Nagona Mountains and a reunion with her beloved cousin, she wonders what will it take to escape the Earthlings. So I've heard that this is a very dark book, but it also says that it's shocking, hilarious, unforgettable, original. I'm really excited to read a book that is both funny, dark, heartbreaking. So this was translated from Japanese by Ginny Tapley Takamori. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to this one. Ooh, and the writing is really big, so this should be a quick read. So yeah, that is the last one I got from Waterstones. And then the last 2 books that I've got are from Tesco, and Tesco do this deal which is like 2 for £9 maybe on books that I think they're normally like a £5. So you're only really saving £1. I think that's pretty cheap for a book, to be fair. So I have Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell and The Night Swim by Megan Golden. So I'll talk about this one first. I have actually started listening to this on audiobook just this morning. So I'm about 100 pages into this as we speak, and I'm really enjoying it. I have read 2 books by Lisa Jewell before. I've read Then She Was Gone, which was really good, and it was one of my favourites from last year. And I also read The Family Upstairs earlier this year, and I really didn't like that book. So we're following this girl called Sapphire, she's obviously got a very troubled past, and she's been seeing this therapist called Rowan. So we're also following Rowan's wife called, what's her name? Kate. And then we're also following this guy called Owen who lives across the road from Kate and Rowan. And I feel like all the stories are soon gonna like mingle together. It seems quite modern, and it seems like it's very influenced by the Me Too movement, and it's talking about incel culture and sexual harassment. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this so far. So yeah, this will look very pretty next to my other Lisa Jewell books. I think one of them is yellow and I can't remember what the other one is, but yeah. Then the last one is The Night Swim by Megan Golding, and this is also a book about sexual assault, I think. We're following this podcast host called Rachel Crowell, who is covering a devastating rape trial between the granddaughter of the police chief and the local golden boy. So we've got that going on. But Rachel is also distracted because somebody is leaving her mysterious letters asking her to dig deep into the death of Jenny Stills. She drowned, but the letters insist it was murder. These two cases then start to collide and Rachel starts making connections between the two. So we've got like two exciting plot stories going on, but I also feel like this book's going to annoy me because rape trials are the worst. And I feel like it's definitely going to shed light on a lot of the awful things that victims of rape are subjected to during the trials. So I think this one's going to be really interesting, but I think it's also going to be really thought-provoking and it's probably going to get me mad, so we'll see how that goes. So that was all the books that I have to show you today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and if so, what you thought of them, without any spoilers, so please. Thank you for watching today's video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!